Yep.
What's going on, guys? So if you are in the credit repair industry, whether you've been doing this for years or maybe you just started, you need to watch this video because this is one of our mentees, Jared from Next Door Credit, and he just started in the credit repair industry and is killing it. He's doing amazing. So he started in our mentorship program, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So if you want to learn more about how to make more sales, if you want to learn more about converting all of your leads, right now, if you're only converting 10%, you need to be converting at 30, 50, and 60% or higher, like Jared is already doing with no future, with no prior experience in the credit repair industry. This is amazing. So Jared, tell us a little bit about, number one, like what made you even want to go into the credit repair industry?
Okay, so I'll be honest with the credit repair industry. A lot of people will tell you they came in to help people. To be honest, I came in to make money. I saw a good business opportunity. I saw you're able to acquire the customers for a low price, and you're able to do volume with this and grow the business fast. It's a very low cost, easy startup. Maybe took 6 weeks total to get the whole thing rolling. So I don't know another business where you could make this type of money this fast with no prior experience. The only other experience I have would be sales experience.
Got it.
But nothing in the credit space. So it's strictly financial, why I did it, to be honest with you. I mean, I like helping people, but obviously it's all about money for me.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that, because at the same time, as you're starting to learn very quickly, we're helping people, but making a generous amount at the same time.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So killing two birds with one stone.
So since you started in our mentor, so let me ask you, so how long have you been in our mentorship program?
So I would say it's been roughly 8 weeks, like 2 months.
Got it. Okay. So when you first started in the credit repair, again, you previously didn't really do any type of credit repair, didn't have much knowledge, anything.
All I knew was basic credit knowledge that 90% of America knows, but nothing extensive, nothing as far as credit repair, no idea at all.
Gotcha.
So I came in blank slate. Like I said, maybe the only advantage I have was having you, and then as far as you helping me with the sales pitch, and then I had sales experience. So for me, it was kind of like, once I had the script, it was pretty much plug and play, because the script, you can honestly just kind of read from it and it does the work for you, as long as you stick to it.
So let's talk about that real quick, because naturally you're a natural sales person, a natural sales killer. Let's be honest, you're an assassin. You're really good at sales, but also it's a different type of sale when we're talking about credit repair. So making that transition from selling your product or services from, besides credit repair, and then now you're selling credit repair, what do you think is the biggest difference? Like somebody who's never sold credit repair right now, what is like a good tip that you would probably give them?
Okay, so yeah, it's definitely a different animal compared to things I've sold in the past, cars, health insurance, because it's not really a tangible product. You're selling yourself. So really, you need to focus on building value, because there's, to be honest, there's a million credit repair companies. You're competing with every single person in the world. So you got to set yourself apart. And the only way to really do that is providing value. Show them how you're going to help them work on the positive credit. You're going to coach them. You're going to be there every step of the way. Communication is key. You're going to be transparent. So it's not a sale where you just kind of want to bulldoze them and then, pray for the best, because these people are going to call you in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. They're going to want updates. So it's something where you definitely want to be upfront and honest, since you're going to be the one dealing with everything on the back end, and set realistic expectations. I noticed was key as well, because, a lot of these other credit repair companies, which, is an obstacle you're going to have to overcome. For example, the big ones, Lexington Law, they promise these guys 30 to 45 days, which we all know isn't true. So, you have to kind of explain to them that, look, I'd rather be transparent, upfront, and honest, and give you a realistic time frame. So at the end of the day, we're under promising, over delivering, which is the main key that I learned from you.
So taking that, and you're 100% right. Taking that time and really building value. And one of the things that we teach in our mentorship program is, for example, when a lead comes in, and automatically most people, and if you're getting leads right now, most people, the first question they're going to ask is, what's the price? That's what people always shoot for first. And then the other question is, how long is this going to take? Well,
Right.
when we teach our team, our mentees, we don't teach them, oh, well, our price is $199, and sign up today. Because like you said, how is that going to set you apart from Lexington Law or from any of these, other credit repair companies, regardless of how big or how small they are? So you need to take the time and educate the clients and say, hey, let's pause for a second, rewind, and let's see what's actually on your credit. Because I'm sure you see this all the time, Jared, where you're like, hey, Mr. Jones, what's going on with your credit? And they give you like some kind of half-ass story. They really don't know 100% what's on their credit. And me and you as professionals, Jared, we don't expect them to have all the answers. If they did, they wouldn't need to be talking to us, right?
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah, and that is very key with the sales process. I noticed this is not something you got to stick to the process, because it's not something where you can wing it. The number one way to sell these people is to go through the report with them line by line, because nobody else is doing that. That's one way to set yourself apart. Every negative item on there is an opportunity for you to start building value. Talk about, hey, your credit utilization is through the roof. Let's get that down. You can talk about the positive, negative, how you're going to walk them through it. So then at the end, when you go to ask for 800, 1200, 1500, whatever you want to charge, it makes sense and there's value built. Because if you just go, hey, we fix credit, it'll take 45 to 60 days. You sound like the last 10 phone calls they just got. So it is clutch and very important that you stick to not necessarily the words on the script, but the structure, because the sale is very unique in the sense that there's a process. If I look at the price and the length of time as like ammunition. So if you give them the price and the length of time up front, that's it. That phone call's over. That's got to be the last piece of information you give them.
Correct. Exactly. So another thing I wanted to talk about was, for example, when you normally, when you buy leads, it goes to your email, right? So here, with our marketing team, the leads necessarily, they don't go a lot of times to our email, they'll go to our inbox. So how have you been responding to those leads, and what have you been doing to see, like, what makes you successful? How are you responding and making sure that you're building rapport without even talking to them, just talking to them through text to then get them on the phone? Like, what is it that you're doing?
Okay, so I learned from you as far as, I try to ask them 3 or 4 yes or no questions to get them to open up. Hopefully, like the 3rd or 4th question is maybe something they don't know. And I say, hey, let's get on the phone. Are you available to talk? This may sound strange, but anybody who's done online dating, I really compare it to that. You really want to hit them with 3, 4 questions, get them to open up. And your goal is to get the phone number, get them off the app so you could take it to the next step. And this is very similar. You want to say, hey, what are your credit scores? How many collections do you have? Are they showing up on all 3 credit bureaus? They say, I have no idea. Great. Are you available to talk? So, 3, 4 questions, the ones you showed me, and 9 out of 10 times they're ready to go.
And what you just said is a major key, because you want to ask them a couple of questions. Some of the people may know the questions or know the answers, I should say, but then you want to make sure you ask them a question where they're probably not going to know the answer. And that shows them, it makes them realize even through text message that, wow, maybe I don't know everything about my credit, and this is why I need professional help. And you're right, that by that 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th question, that's when you say, hey, you know what, Jared, are you available to talk? And next thing you know, they're texting you their phone number, you're setting up an appointment, and the next step is to go over the credit report and close them.
Correct. Yeah. So it is very different compared to any type of marketing or lead I ever got before. I've never done social media. I've never had inbox. Everything always either came to me via email or in my dialer or as an inbound phone call. So it is weird or different in the sense that you got to warm them up yourself through the text. but yeah, the marketing's been great. I mean, the volume's high. I've been getting a lot of leads. I can't complain as far as that goes. Good quality. So yeah, it's really on you. And then it's not so much you're working many hours, but you do need a big tip I would give is you want to be available a lot of hours. So in my opinion, I like to get on as soon as I wake up, 8 a.m. to maybe 9 or 10 p.m. I'll respond to the leads. I may not take the phone call, obviously, if it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night, but I'll touch base with them to open them up and then maybe set something up for the following day. Because I notice if you let them go stale 24, 48 hours, let them sit over the weekend, then you're gonna have a tougher time opening back up. They may have moved on by that point. So I think it's important to be responsive as they come in.
Jared, those are big nuggets, man, because us as entrepreneurs, as we continue to build our businesses, right? At the same time, we're also human beings. We all have, most of us have kids, most of us have families. Right. Some people watching this are thinking about, man, I want to get out of my 9 to 5 right now. And how am I going to do that and run this business? Well, number one, you have to have a never give up attitude. That's the first thing. Because in any business, I don't care what kind of business you're building, if you're working a 9 to 5, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not spending a few hours a night or on your spare time building that business, you're never going to be successful. I don't care what industry you're in. So my point is making yourself available. That's what you said. Make yourself available, even if it's at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, just to respond and say, hey, I see you're interested in credit repair. Right. Are you available? I'm out of the office, but are you available to talk tomorrow morning or afternoon? Right. That's a simple text message that takes you maybe 30 seconds. They respond back and you set up an appointment. So by you doing that, and I know that's what you're doing, you're maximizing every single lead, because the reality is, imagine you get, let's say 20 leads a day, and let's say 5 of them are at night, like you just described. If you responded to all 5 of those, and let's say the next day out of the 5, let's say you closed 2. If you did that every day, do you realize that's an extra 10 deals a freaking week that you would make?
Yeah. Absolutely.
How much money would you make on a monthly basis if you just put that just a little bit more effort than you're already putting in right now? Think about that. It's huge.
Yeah. And it's only a few minutes, just a quick, simple text. And I think this business actually, I couldn't think of a better business to start while you have a 9 to 5. You could do, I would say the first 6 weeks setup of this business, you would have no problem doing this in conjunction with the 9 to 5. Yeah, you might have to do a couple hours after work, but you can respond to text at most jobs. Takes 2 seconds, and then and most people aren't available to talk until after business hours anyways, and on the weekends. So I think this is a great business. I can't think of one better, where you can basically set your own hours. I mean, the leads are going to come in at whatever time, but most people that I've set up an appointment are like, hey, I get off work at 5:30. So if you have a job, it's like, great, me too. And then, within 2-3 weeks of you doing that, you'll see, hey, I will be able to quit my 9 to 5. Yeah. There's no way, if you're putting in the same effort on your own compared to a 9 to 5, you're not going to blow your 9 to 5 out of water. I mean, even if you're making $100,000, you could easily make $100,000 doing this, working 20, 30 hours a week, a little bit of effort.
Yeah. Exactly. So where have you seen, as far as the marketing aspect of it, where have you seen the majority of your leads come in?
So I was using, so that I'm not too sure about, because, I use like your marketing guy, but they were coming in Facebook and Instagram. And now I believe we're just on Instagram, which I think are kind of one and the same now that they bought each other. I have no idea, but they're coming in all through my Instagram DM inbox right now.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So another thing is let's talk about the sales script real quick, because I think the biggest thing about any kind of business is you need to make sales, right? You can, for example, you can be a great credit repair professional, right? And know how to dispute and send out the letters. But if you can't sell, you're not making any money. That's the biggest thing, and there's 2 big things to grow any business: marketing and sales. Then comes customer service. Exactly. So marketing, sales, and customer service.
Yeah.
So
let's say product knowledge is, close to last.
Yeah,
to be
no,
honest.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it'll help with the sales, but if you can't sell and if you don't focus on sales and you're just sitting there, worried about reading up on credit repair and how do I dispute with these letters, the biggest advice I could give is get started with the sales. Start paying for the marketing, start getting a couple sales. And then the other thing is, then you'll figure out, hey, I don't know this, because you don't know what you don't know until it comes up. Someone asks you, how do you fix a repossession? Then you go look it up. But if you spend, because I was doing this, if you're doing 3-4 weeks training, trying to learn everything you can on the back end, you're going to learn nothing. The best thing is jump in the fire, get your feet wet, go ahead and start taking leads. And as you make sales, and then you'll build confidence as well. I mean, if you're sitting there for 6 weeks reading and you're not making any sales, you're probably likely to give up. So just get going, get 2 sales the first week, then 4, then 6. That's how I did it. Now I'm up to 10 plus a week. And really, like probably my 6th week, I never get less than 10 deals a week now.
That's great. And let's talk a little bit about some of the objections. Like when you, like in our mentoring program, one of the things that we teach all of our mentees is how to overcome objections. Like right before this Zoom call, I was telling Harsha, I was on a consultation and the guy was like, hey, I need to talk to my wife. Those are common objections that you're going to have to overcome, because the reality is the moment that you decide, you know what, I'm going to let him talk to his wife, or I'm going to let her talk to her husband, you're probably not making that sale. Let's be real. Why? Because when that spouse gets home, she has to cook dinner. They're dealing with the kids, take a shower the next day. And then it's just a rat race, right? They keep pushing it off. So as a salesperson, we teach you how to sell without being pushy, without being, over exaggerated as far as the pressure is concerned. But the reality is most of these people will tell you, man, I've had bad credit for 2-3 years, right? So you have to ask them, like one of the rebuttals that I teach my clients, and this works every time, is, hey, what happens if your wife says no when you talk to her about it? You know what that guy said? He was like, man, I don't know. And I said, well, your wife knows that you have bad credit, right? And he said, yes, of course. Well, the bad credit is not only affecting you, it's affecting your wife and your whole family. It's not like right now, you're not buying some rims for your truck. If you did that, your wife probably would be mad. The fact that you're making a decision to improve your credit, which is going to improve your situation, your wife is not going to be mad. And so when you break it down and really become a human being and explain it to them, not a salesperson, but if you really narrow it down to where they can understand it, now it's relatable. So we teach you how to be relatable so you can close more deals, because you know what? And you know this, Jared, my personal rule is you have to rebuttal this person at least 3 times. That means you got to get 3 no's before you give up. But on top of that, listen, sales is this. Either that person is selling you on why they're not buying, or you're selling them on why they should buy. So somebody's being sold, you determine, what's going to happen. So another thing that you have to remember is that while you're rebuttaling, you may be 45 minutes into this call. So you have to be what? You always have to remain compassionate. Okay. Don't get aggressive, because it's very easy to get frustrated. You have to be patient. You have to be a good listener. Okay. Listen to what they're telling you. Then you also have to just take into consideration that, you know what, this person has had bad credit for the last 5 years. So if they tell you, hey man, I got to think about it, just remind them of what they've already told you. Listen, you told me that you've had bad credit for the last 5 years. So I'm sure you've been thinking about it for quite a while. You don't need more time to think about it. You need to move forward. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah.
And that's how you close without necessarily, and that's not even aggressive. That's just reminding them of why they're even on the phone with you. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. They've been waiting 3 years and now they want to wait till next Friday. And with this, with any sale, I'm the same way. With phone sales, I agree with you 100%. I would say do 3 rebuttals. And if you want, do 8 rebuttals. The worst thing you want to do is let the client say they're going to call you back, because they're never calling back. I mean, less than 1 out of 100. That's not even I don't care what they tell you. I promise I want you to get the commission. What's your first and last name? I need your extension. I want to pay in full tomorrow. They're never calling you back.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for them to do that. If you think about it logically, why do we need to speak tomorrow? Your credit card's in your car. All right, go get it. I'll wait. And then the spouse rebuttal, to me, I think is completely fake. I don't think any husband, for one, hasn't already spoken to their wife about this and is just at work looking for credit repair. They've already spoke, hey, I'm going to get my credit fixed. They already have a budget in mind. No one's waiting for Susan, their wife, to come home over dinner and say, hey, you think $200 a month might work to fix my credit? No, there's no chance that they're going to relay all this. So I think that rebuttal's I think that's fake. You have to rebuttal it, or that's it. You might as well just give up. You just hang up the phone. So,
and the worst part of go ahead.
No, I was going to say, a lot of people, a lot of these like sales gurus will tell you like, it's in the follow-up, it's in the follow-up. I don't think, and it is a little bit, but not so much on the phone sales. Do not think like, okay, he's going to talk to his wife and then I'm going to follow up hardcore. You're going to be doing nothing. You're just going to be calling a guy who doesn't pick up. No chance. You got to close it. It's a one call close. It's got to be, and you'll see. I mean, these people will not call you back. By the time, if you wait 48 hours, they may have spoken to 10 other people. They may have spent the $200.
They're not picking up the phone. They're not answering your text messages.
They're on to the next one. That's it.
Yeah. And I feel like the worst part, and this is why I want you guys to understand, anyone that's watching this, and you already know, Jared, our rules of the sales, right? So the worst part, and anyone who has done any kind of sales can relate to this. The worst situation for you as an individual is to hang up the phone with that person and then you be like, man, I could have said this, I could have said that, or I could have tried this, rebuttal. Right. So you have to have an arsenal of rebuttals. Yeah. And this is also why we practice on a daily basis, where we actually rehearse. Even if, let's say you are a one-man operation, right? And you have no one to rehearse with, right? To practice your rebuttals. Look at yourself in the freaking mirror and do a whole pitch by yourself and practice your rebuttals, because the more that you know your rebuttals, they're going to slip off immediately as soon as that person says, hey, I need to talk to my husband, or the price is too much. There is no lack of air. So when someone says, hey, the price is too much, and mind you, they can't see you, right? So they can only hear you, and they hear you pause for about 10 seconds. They already know that you're thinking of the next rebuttal. That automatically, you might as well hang up the phone on yourself, because you're not closing that deal if you have that dead air. It's too much time to think. So this is why you have to have your rebuttals locked and loaded so you could fire off the next one. And that's going to be the difference of you making $30,000 a year and $100,000 a year. I promise you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, and that's goes back to my earlier point where the biggest, most important thing is start taking leads. Even if you go for 100, you might on the first 50. You probably won't. If you read the script, you're going to close 10%, just literally reading word for word, but go strike out a bunch of times, see the rebuttals they hit you with, and then go and write down, or the objections they hit you with rather, and then write down the rebuttals. So next time you're prepared and you say, hey, no one's ever going to tell me they're talking to the wife again. No one is ever going to ask me for Google reviews. No one's ever going to ask me, can you send me an email? I'm prepared for that. Someone says, am I going to get an email? Yeah, you're going to get one, of course, the second we're off the phone. Then I just deflect it and we keep on moving. I'm not sending you an email for you to read over and call me in 2 days. There's no, I mean, it's a waste of time to me. So, and the biggest thing I would say, the biggest advantage with your script is these people are always going to object, but your script, if you read that script, it handles, there should be no objections because you address all of them. Like you address the whole process. You're basically knocking out, you're stripping them of their rebuttals, even though at the end, they're still going to say they want to talk to their wife. But in the script, it's like, hey, are you the decision maker? And they're already agreeing to all this. They're agreeing they could afford it. They're agreeing this, that. So at the end, they should have nothing to say, even though they will. To me, that's the best part about the pitch is you already addressed pretty much all the the excuses they're going to come up with 10 minutes later.
Also, another thing is, before you even get on the phone to close the deal, to do the consultation, tell me a little bit about the pre-qualifying the leads, not necessarily through text, but when you get them on the phone. You know, I can explain it, but I want you to explain it in your words. What is the best way to pre-qualify a lead to make sure that you're not wasting your time, right? That you're dealing with a serious, prospect. And how do you make sure that, there's no way for 100% to determine whether that person has money or not, but how do you kind of avoid and eliminate the people that are broke? Right. What's the best way to pre-qualify these leads to make sure that you're dealing with a good candidate?
So the way I like to do it is for one, I ask them, what's their current situation? Let them speak, let them go on. And then I say, okay, you've had, the worst credit in the world for 3 years. What's motivating you today? Why are we talking on the phone now? What? 9 out of 10 times I'm looking to buy a house. I'm looking to buy a car. I can't get an apartment without a co-signer. Boom. So we have the motivation. So now you got a guy on the phone talking about, and sometimes I'll ask him, how much house are you looking to buy? Tell me $500,000. Okay. If you're looking to buy a $500,000 house, clearly you must have $5,000, $10,000 for closing costs and furniture, whatever. I mean, so now the price that I'm charging seems small when I'm going to get rid of 30K in debt and get you in a $500,000 house and save you 200 grand on the interest over the course of the loan. So I like to focus on the motivation. But as far as pre-qualifying, because the motivation, you could always go ahead and remember, we're not just fixing your credit. We want to get you in that house with the backyard. We want to make sure you're not paying 28% on a car and you don't have to put down a monstrous down payment. Now, as far as pre-qualifying to see if they're legitimate, I like to do what you do as far as letting them know we need to pull the credit reports to see what's on all 3 credit bureaus to make sure how much work is involved. We could give you a realistic time frame. And then I can give you a price based on the amount of work. And I have them set up their credit monitoring. So that does a couple things. For one, it shows I'm forcing them to do something. Now they got to go take 3 or 4 minutes out of their day. Not a big deal, but it's a huge step in the right direction. The fact that they're willing to fill this out and it costs them $1. So, they got a card, they got $1. Because once in a while, I'll tell someone to do that and they go, well, I got a prepaid debit card and I don't get paid for 10 days. And I'm so glad they told me that, because now I'm not wasting an hour and a half. I couldn't be any more thankful. Thank God you told me that now. Let's get off the phone. So to me, that's huge. But for the pre-qualifying, I would say now.
Let me chime in real quick. So those are really big nuggets, because I get that all the time too, where, listen, we want to help people. That's the business that we're in. But at the same time, these people have to want to help themselves, right? If you have a prepaid card, a loadable card, and you don't even have a bank account, that, there's a possibility that, number one, right, you're living extremely paycheck to paycheck, and right, probably a notch below that, right? So right, we want to make sure that these people are able to keep up with their current bills, on top of be able to pay us for our services, because you know what? Our services that we right, provide are life-changing. Without us repairing their credit, they're not going to buy that house. They're not going to buy, right, a new car. They're not going right, to be able to do the things that they want to do and live their best life and still, live paycheck to paycheck. That's right, just not going to work. So
right. So when they bring that up, you're able to address it and nip it in the bud right there. So they say, oh, I don't even have $1 for the thing. Okay, well, where are you? Another big thing I always ask, I forgot to mention, what do you do for work? Second, they could tell, it's 1 PM on a Monday, probably unemployed or something not right. And then you can get to it. You say, okay, are you going to have money for this? Because the pitch is going to be an hour. I don't want to go through the credit report with you line by line. If we could attack these things now. And they'll tell you, look, I'll be honest with you, man, I am going to have $100 for a month. And I'm happy. Okay, here's my number. Let's talk in a month.
Exactly.
Because not every lead is a good lead.
So pre-qualifying is huge, because again, if you're, especially for those who are new to the industry, right? if the first 5 people that you talk to are all broke, and you know what, you just feel like you're hitting that dead end every single time, I want you to understand, what I'm about to say, you're going to have to eat a little bit of that humble pie, because it's your fault that you're not making those sales. I want you guys to understand that, because if you're not pre-qualifying, then you're just talking to everyone on the road. I mean, you're not, you have to be able to, you have to be able to also not just pre-qualify, but be choosy on who you accept as a client as well.
Yeah,
you
very
know,
selective. Manage your time wisely. Yeah, because you'll
those
get
people that
the biggest losers, sorry to call them losers, but the people with no money and the people who have nothing going on that are sitting home on disability and taking pain meds, they'll talk to you for 3 hours and tell you the repossessions because my mom co-signed and she didn't. Those are the worst. People who make money and are ready to get this done typically is the quickest pitch. So you got to be careful, because I mean, I'm guilty of this all the time. I'll end up on calls and it's 1 hour and 48 minutes. And I'm like, what is going on? This guy is not buying. He literally told me, you know, he's living in a motel. And I'm like, I got to get off the phone with the guy.
Yeah.
Because that's not a smart use of time. I'm better. Let's go to the next one. And then I'll spend 1 hour with the right guy. But I mean, yeah, pre-qualifying is huge for that reason.
And if you find yourself signing up clients like that, and let's say you're charging them $99 a month, for example, I want you to understand, you're going to chase that person every single month for that $99. And if you have 10 clients, hey, not a big deal. But think about it, when you grow your company, if you have 100 clients, 200, 300, 400 clients, and they're all like that, you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to collect. Now you're no longer a credit repair person. You're playing collections, and that's not what you signed up for.
That's a whole nother business.
So pre-qualifying really displays the type of quality of clients that you're going to obtain in your business. So don't be scared to let a client go if they are already displaying that they're going to be a nightmare client. I rather, hey, go to Lexington Law if you're going to, you know, ask me 101 questions and then talk about, you got to talk to your wife, you know?
Guys, I wanted to add something here. So when Rob and Jared is talking about, like, you know, pre-qualifying, just make sure you're not pre-qualifying them on text. You know, you're actually pre-qualifying them on the phone. Because most people think, like, you know, pre-qualifying them on the enquiries that are, you know, they're getting. So there is a difference, guys. Yeah.
Agree 100%. 100%.
If you guys can talk about it.
Yeah. So that's, I'm glad that you brought that up, because this is why, you know, you want to keep it to a minimum as far as answering questions via text message, because if you answer all the questions via text message, what else is there to talk about? So this is why you want to keep it at a cap. This is when I train my mentees, I'm like 3-4 questions max. If you go to 5, maybe, but now you're being way too nice. You're giving out way too much information. And also you got to take in consideration that you may text them and then they may not text back for another half an hour. So now it becomes time consuming. So keep it to 3 to 4 questions and then say, hey, by the way, are you available to talk? And that's another way for you as a salesperson to know, okay, I've already answered 3 to 4 questions. So I'm helping them in a sense. Now it's my turn. I gave you something. Now you give me a conversation, because the reality is you're not going to close these deals through text messages. So keep it at a 3 to 4 max question, then ask them for the information, and then go through the pre-qualifying process that we were just talking about. So yes, thank you, Harshal, for bringing that up, because that's important, man. You don't want to waste your time.
The process is just as important as the script, because I've done that, Harshal. I've tried to cut corners, and I've tried to have them do the credit monitoring over text. It's worked 1 out of 10 times, but overall, correct. You want to get them on the phone. It's better to get them on the phone. And the information that they're asking you, that's your only weapon. All you have is that information. You cannot release it. The first half of the first text you're going to get is, like Rob said, what does it cost? How quick does this take? Or I just got ripped off by this company. What's the difference with you? I just deflect it and move on. Our prices are custom based on the amount of work and what's on your report. That's why we got to get on the phone, you know, and then that's the most I'll address it. But sometimes I'll just ignore it. What are your credit scores? Okay. You know,
and let me just explain and highlight why, you know, answering too many questions via text message, why that doesn't work is because there's no real relationship there. Mind you, they don't know who you are.
Yep.
I mean, there's, you know, you have to build that trust and that relationship with them. So the moment that you get on the phone, they can hear if you sound professional. They can hear if you know, again, you're supposed to be running a business. So do you have 13 kids in the background freaking screaming? Right. I mean, they're going to be like,
or are you even the guy texting me? Are you even the person that's texting me? Are you the person that's on the Instagram? Like, you know, I think a lot of times they're blown away that I was the one actually messaging them. Like, you know, and they're impressed by that and they like that. They're like, okay, so you're the guy on the Instagram. You're the one who's texting me and you're the one I'm speaking to. Like, all right, it all adds up, because trust with this is a huge factor. A lot of them, this is their second, third go around and they've been, you know, scorned and they, you know, and they're damaged goods at that point. So you got to like bring them back to life. Like, hey, you know, a good rebuttal Rob gave me was like, hey, what do? You're a mechanic, you're a trucker. Would you agree? Not everybody does the job the same way. Some of you are worse than others. Some truckers are late. Some of them take forever to unload the truck. Same thing with credit repair. You know, it's really just selling yourself, because the product and service is the same. You're sending dispute letters to the credit bureaus. In essence, there's really no difference between you and anyone else except for you. That's it. Just whatever you say on the phone, but texting isn't going to get it done. You're right. You got to come with your personality. You got to convince them. And they have no incentive to call you if you're answering every question.
Yep.
You give them the price. Why would they ever call you? All right, sounds expensive. I'm done.
And when you get them on the phone, you're really able to display your knowledge about credit repair. And that's when the trust really comes in. Now, I will tell you, because Jared, you're right. They love it when they find out that it's you that's texting them. But let's take it a step further, right? Let's say now your company is growing, because Jared, you're headed in this direction. You're not always going to be the one texting these people. So like me, I have an assistant, right? So sometimes I am the one texting these people and sometimes I'm not, even though it's my Instagram. So what I'll do is I'll have my assistant, you know, respond back to them. And then they'll say, hey, I'm going to schedule you an appointment with Robert or with one of our other sales, you know, credit specialists. And they'll type in the inbox, they'll message them and say, hey, I'm going to set you up an appointment with John at 3 o'clock. And then they'll say, okay, great. So now there's an exchange of information. They already know that John is calling them, not Robert. And if they ever have an issue, and this has happened to me, so this is an easy way to rebuttal that, is like, hey, you know, Harshal, this is a real company. Like, it's not just Rob, the credit guy, that's here. We have other sales agents. We have a team of customer service. We have a team of disputers. So, I mean, this is what you want. You don't want to be working with a guy that's working out of his closet. And hey,
that's always available.
And don't get me wrong.
You want the guy that's hard to get over.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You got to start somewhere. So for those people who are working from home, there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to think bigger than that. You got to think, okay, once I get out of this house and I get an office, like my office here is 3,400 square feet. What happens when you get to this point, right? You can't wear all of these hats. You have to be able to expand and duplicate yourself. And this is what we have our mentorship program for, is not just to teach you how to be a one-man army, but how to duplicate yourself and grow your business. Because let's face it, I love what I do. I'm very passionate. Jared, you're starting to love what you do. Absolutely, I can tell. But we don't want to do this forever. Like, think about that. I want to be on an island somewhere, you know? So, I mean, I need to have people working I need to have an army of credit repair specialists making money while I sleep. That's the goal. So how do you do that? Our mentoring program teaches you how to grow and be successful. That's what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one thing doing it yourself, but then, yeah, when you're adding all these other elements, like I think I told you yesterday, I hired, like an admin type person who's starting in a week, and she's taking over the messaging. But right, I'm gonna have her say the same thing. My top credit repair specialist, Jared, is available to talk to you, set up the appointment.
Yeah.
Because I got to get some of that stuff off my plate so I could sell more. And then the next step will be hiring sales agents. So right. So hopefully in 6 to 12 months tops, I'm off the phone and I'm just growing the business, focusing on marketing, because the marketing is another aspect that if you pay attention to marketing, networking, you can really grow this thing tenfold. Like besides just the Instagram leads, if you think outside the box, you can really get the thing going.
Yeah, bro.
So
We'll help you out.
Let's touch on that real quick. So listen, anyone that is watching this, the biggest thing that you need, like I said earlier, is leads. Because you could be a great salesperson, right? You could know everything about credit repair, but if you don't have leads, you're not selling no one, right?
Yeah.
So my guy Harshal and his team, this you guys are seriously, and this is real hype, okay?
Yep.
You guys are our lifeline to our business. And
yes,
so
sir.
without you, without the quality of leads, without the volume of leads, and most importantly as well, without the consistency of leads, we wouldn't be able to be as successful as we are today. So, man, tell us, right? Tell us about, you know, how did you, because I'm not going to lie. And there was another video that we did. And one thing about me is I'm brutally honest, is when I first met Harshal, I was skeptical. Because why? Not necessarily because of Harshal, but more because I had already spent over $10,000 on trying out different marketing people, man. Because everybody's saying they can do this and this amount of leads. I bought leads, you name it. I mean, I even tried to generate leads myself, and it worked for me. But then Facebook crashed and all this other stuff. And because I'm not a professional, I'm just an amateur in that. I couldn't figure out it was broken, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So when I met Harshal, I took a leap of faith and I made my money back. No, I mean, I would tell this story a million times because I still get excited because the money that I invested with Harshal and his team to run my ads and the leads and all that stuff, I made my money back within about 3 days. Right then and there, I was like, I found my guy. Like I found my guy. So,
bro,
so tell me a little bit about how you can help us, man.
Yeah, I still remember. I think I literally followed up with you more than 25 or 30 times for sure.
Oh my, you are an example of relentless, and I love that. That's, you know what? That's another thing that actually sold me, was your persistence, believe it or not. Because I'm a true salesperson, I don't get turned off by that. I'm like,
you appreciate it. Yeah.
You're
like, I need to hire this guy to sell for me. Yeah.
I was like, man, I need this guy on my team. And so that's
you appreciate the hustle.
part of the reason.
Yeah, guys. Sure. Yeah, so basically, you know, we only specialize, as you guys know, like, you know, we only specialize in helping credit repair consultants. That's it. Like, you know, that's our bread and butter. And right now, you know, fortunately, we've been working with more than 150 plus like credit repair clients at this point. And basically what we do for them is we help them get more like pre-qualified message inquiries in their DMs directly mostly on Instagram and Facebook. For Jared or Rob, like, you know, anyone out there, we just, you know, set up the basic foundation on the Instagram. We just let them know that, you know, you guys just need to focus on building your Instagram brand, you know, not specifically on the follower side, but at least adding more like, you know, posts and videos, because Rob and Jared already know this, you know, how people felt credible whenever they see your, like, you know, posts and everything going. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, if you have like couple of posts and you have like none of the followers and stuff like that, like people will never trust you, you know, like you will never be credible. So instead, you know, we actually set up the basic foundation, which is like, you know, setting up the Instagram page right way. And then in terms of content, you know, we usually recommend anyone that, you know, you can use like video or flyer, doesn't matter. And yeah, you know, like we just do that, bro. You know, we just help them to scale from 0 to 7, multiple 7 figures. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's
Like
always
Jared, tell everyone how many I don't even, you didn't even have Instagram before, did you?
Yeah, that's what I was just
Nah,
gonna say.
bro.
That was like, so what Harsha was just saying is like, I would say like I'm the perfect example. I don't have any social media, never have, like nothing, not a MySpace, Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram. So I was super overwhelmed. Just I don't know even know how to post and upload a photo, literally, like like an 80-year-old man. So I would say it's important, but don't overwhelm yourself with it. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
A lot of the content is similar. Like you go to the 10 biggest companies, the videos are going to look almost identical, reviewing credit reports. So it's important to always post. Like Robert's the best at that. He might post 10 times a day, just little things. But at the same time, to me, the biggest advice I'd be is get the Instagram page set up with whatever Harshal recommends, 20, 30 posts, and then just get the leads going. Harshal's cost and the lead cost is literally pennies. Like if that's something you're thinking about, then like this is probably not the right business, because I've been in 20 different businesses and the marketing has never been cheaper. Like you literally make 10x your investment if you can close some of the sales.
So it's important for close as well.
It's a no-brainer. With the and it's a whole nother job. Like, what are you going to become, an IT guy overnight, and then marketing and sales? I mean, you got to focus on, in my opinion, when you grow this business, you want to focus on sales. Worry about the dispute process and all the technicals later. Worry about the if you want to work on marketing one day, that's years down the road. Get your sales going. The leads are cheap enough to where you're not going to beat it on your own. Like I thought about it. You can't, like, what are you going to say, $50 and then I have a new full-time job? I mean, so in my opinion, the marketing is a must. I don't know another way to do it. And I can't think of another business where you could start making this much money this fast with such a small investment. Yeah. And that's another piece of advice is like, I guess people want to try to start this business with $0, but ideally, if you could have 5,000 like on a credit card and you're willing to go with Harshal and Robert, like, granted, you could probably start this with no money, but if you have $5,000, they're going to expedite the process by literally 12 to 18 months. Like you're going to get over the learning curve. You're going to have the marketing. Your thing's going to be up and rolling in 3 months. You're going to be surprised that you have a real business, a real brand, super quick. Like just follow the steps, and it's so easy. Anybody can do it, honestly.
So let me just add, because a lot of my mentees that have, that I've trained over the years, one of their biggest concerns and the things that have stopped them is not only the marketing, because the marketing, we got that solved. Harshal and his team are amazing. But the other concern is, well, I just started credit repair and I haven't really been disputing much on my own. What if I don't get my clients results that they were hoping for? So in our mentoring program, we teach you how to do credit repair, or you can actually hire us to do the disputing process for you. So you can outsource the disputing process and we'll take care of that for you. And I'll be honest, man, a lot of our mentees, they choose that option. Right? They learn how to dispute on their own, because it is good for you to know that. But at the same time, imagine you trying to dispute everything for all of your clients, trying to make the sales, trying to keep up with the post and the marketing, trying to do the customer service. And then what happens if your clients decline on the payment? Now you got to play collector. So you're wearing so many hats, and it can be overwhelming. Absolutely 100%. So being able to outsource the disputing process, being able to outsource the marketing directly to Harshal and his team, having our sales training and keeping you accountable to make sure that you're closing at 60. Let me ask you, what's your closing rate right now, Jared? What do you think your percentage?
That was my last question.
Of the people that get on the phone, I would say 2/3 of them, like, so let's say 10 leads come in my inbox. I may get, 8 phone numbers, get 5 or 6 to set up the credit monitoring. Let's say it's 5 and I'll close 3. So I'll close, like, I guess, what is that, 60%? So I mean, it's pretty much right.
And those are people that you actually talk to, and so that's the thing, right? Because for example, if you text someone and you never get on the phone, I kind of don't qualify that as like a lead, to be honest with you, because if I didn't get to pitch you, then I didn't even have the opportunity to close you, right?
Yeah,
So,
if you're just referring to pitching, then it's a ridiculous close percentage, higher than any other industry I've been in. I've been in a lot. Like, I mean, it's over 50%. It's ridiculous. Like I literally expect to close. When they set up when I get them the phone number from the DM, and then I do a 10-minute call, and I get them to go pay $1, even though it's just $1, but they're trusting you to go set up some credit monitoring site, and they're doing all that. Then I get them back on the phone. I am like shocked when they don't buy, because it's that high of a closing percentage. Like,
I've heard you pitch personally, and I mean, every time I've heard you close, I mean, it's got to be, without exaggeration, you're probably closing about a 70 to 80% rate. Like, off of the people that you actually talk to. That's correct. You know, that's the key, you know. So
and the script is key. I mean, I've literally read your script, like added some personality, but read it like verbatim. Works, like lay down, simple.
And that's another thing. You know what? I'm glad that you said that, because you can take the script that we give you, but at the same time, you got to keep in mind that you, Jared, do not talk the way I do. Your personality is different than my personality. So what I recommend is, when you get that golden script, read it back to back to where you can memorize it, right? But then as you're going through the flow, pour a little bit of your sauce on there, and your personality, because you don't want to sound robotic, you know, and people people know when you're reading off of a script. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Definitely throw your personality in there. So man, I'm excited.
Yeah, maybe a little joke up front, like just a corny thing to open them up, but like, you know, it'll naturally become your own. I mean, you read that script every day for 2 weeks, it'll just become like clockwork, where you're just reciting it, and then you don't even need the paper, and then it will come off natural, and you know, they'll hear the way you speak and enunciate the words. But you can literally just read that script, and it's like,
well, I'm excited for you, man, because you're doing only in the last couple of weeks. You've been doing amazing. So, you know, between the marketing and our coaching, you're just going to continue to grow. So
I wanted to add something here, like, you know, just so you guys know, you know, we've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years so far. And, you know, the reason why we only get, like, you know, I would say like almost like pre-qualified leads, and, you know, the conversion rate is much higher. Of course, like, you know, the sales is the most important stuff. But the way we have set it up, like, you know, the initial automated response and the message conversation, it actually makes like all the people that are reaching out comfortable compared to anything out there. Like, you know, trust me guys, like, you know, we've been doing like, we have like tried funnel, like lead forms, yada, yada, like so many multiple things. And like, you know, whenever we talk about this particular method, you know, the reason why like the reason why we get like mostly only qualified inquiries is because, like, you know, people get more comfortable when they go through your profile. Mostly the way we have set it up is like, you know, they actually go on your profile, you know, they check all the stuff that you guys are doing, and then they reach out like that, you know. So I would say, like, you know, that also like plays a more like important factor. So guys, I'm like, you know, hitting on this point, just make sure, please have your, like, you know, all the stuff set it up in a correct way. You know, as Rob and Jared said, like, add good amount of posts on your profile, and you know, take the Rob's mentorship, and then
because like we were saying, like Jared barely, he didn't even have Instagram. So I had to teach Jared how to make posts, how to do videos, and now, you know, he's still learning just like all of us. But his page are full of posts. Matter of fact, me and Jared were on a call the other day, and he was like, man, I had a client, you know, when we were talking, he said, wow, he really liked my page, and he actually learned from some of the stuff that was on my page.
I've gotten that a few times.
So when you
post, and even for credibility purposes, like what you do a lot of, you have like 3,000 posts, and like maybe only half are credit related, and the other half are you riding bikes with your son. And I mean, so when I see that as a customer, I don't know how everybody else feels, but when I see that, I'm like, I trust this dude. I see him with his wife. I see his house. I see him in front of his car. He's not wearing, you know, like huge gold chain and acting like he's not pretending. Like, I believe you. I see the videos, you know, spending time with the kids, like who can fake that? To me, and that's the biggest barrier on these calls for sure. The biggest obstacle with all of them is trust, because they've been screwed over, and realistically, they just met you on Instagram. And you know, and they tell me stories.
Yeah, it actually turns them from, like, you know, going from cold to warm lead, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Like, I like this guy. He pops up every day with a funny video, and nothing to do with credit, but
you know,
I mean,
that definitely helps them, because one thing everyone needs to remember, like, you know, like all the people that are reaching out are almost like, you know, cold inquiries. What we really need to do is, like, you know, build a trust and basically get them to become a warm. So in that way, like, you know, people can trust us more and basically, you know, help us out like that. So yeah.
So when you so guys, when you post, right, you want to focus on a couple of things. The first thing is you want to be relatable. That's the first thing. They want to know that, for example, you know, I get it. Some people are private, and I respect that, but you have to let them in at least a little bit in your life. So it's not all about credit repair, because that just becomes stagnant, right? You start just hitting deaf ears, and nobody is really going to listen to you. So post a little bit about maybe why you got into the credit repair industry, or maybe you had bad credit. Don't be embarrassed to share listen, I tell people all the time, I've had bad credit and I have good credit. Trust me, I choose good credit every time, right? And tell them the story about that. People want to know that, man, they're dealing with a real person. So focus on being relatable. The other thing you want to focus on is results. Make sure you're posting the clients that you're helping. Make sure you're posting their results so they know that it really does work. The other thing that you want to focus on posting is, you know, focus on maybe different strategies that you're using. Share some of the knowledge, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's millions of people that are doing credit repair. If you're not going to share your secrets, it's not a freaking secret. Do you think you're the only one that knows that? If they're going to learn about it, why not let it be from you? Think about that. So share some of that credit repair knowledge that you have, even if it's just the little basic things. As you're continuously to learn, as you learn, you're probably going to be excited because you learned something new. Share that with your audience. And that's how you have to think about it. Don't think about it as social media. You are actually building up your audience, and it starts small, but instead starts to grow. So every time that you post, you're building your audience and they're paying attention to you. So again, post about something that's relatable, post about education, post about results. You can, you know, post about maybe if you take a vacation, you got to understand you need a credit card to rent a car. You want to use your credit card to get rewards. So if you're already doing that, teach your clients how to do that. These are all post ideas. You have to be creative. And also now they got these other, you know, posts and reels that are trending. Hop on some of the things that are trending, because even if it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with credit, it gives you more exposure. And so by you posting multiple different types of posts, now you're reaching out to different people, because not everybody is going to think like you and me. Like, for example, when I'm on Instagram, I like to look at educational stuff, but then there's other people that ignore that. They're like, oh, just all educational. There's people that want to see you on vacation. There's people that want to see you post results. So if you start posting multiple things, you're reaching out to different audiences, and now you're creating one giant audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I think the biggest audience, you're right. They're all different, because I'm different. Like, to me, I would buy from you off your personal videos, like the one with your kid, your wife, because for me, I know it's all the same shit. I know everybody can do credit repair. So, hey, this guy's willing to put himself out there. He's out there with his wife. This guy literally cannot be a scam. Like, I trust this guy. He looks like a family man. He's on vacation. Like, it's just ridiculous. For me, it's trust. So that's the big, like, I would 100% buy from you off your Instagram because of that reason. And then what most people tell me, the feedback I get, you're right, is the results videos, I think, are the best, obviously.
Yeah, testimonials, results. I mean, those are huge.
Results,
right,
bro,
testimonies and results.
Result video like kill all the time, bro.
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, Rob, bro. So in the end, would you like to, add some details about your mentorship program? Like how can they contact you and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to give you my direct number. This is our business line. So the number is 469-970-0201. Again, that's 469-970-0201. Or you can email me at A as an apple, the number 1, A1 creditandloans@gmail.com. Again, that's A1 creditandloans@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, email me, call, or text me. So don't leave me a voice message though. I don't check my voicemail. Text me. We live in 2022.
I'm also going to leave your Instagram handle, so in that way people can directly contact you, bro. In that way it should be good. As well, guys, if you need any kind of help with marketing or getting more credit for clients, you already know, I'll also add my link and maybe we can schedule a call. But if you guys are interested in mentorship program, please contact directly to Robert. I'm going to leave his Instagram handle right below. And should be good.
And,
awesome.
and if you guys
I want to
need,
say thank you to Jared too for showing up and sharing his testimonial.
And that's what I was going to say too, is if I could drop my number too, or you guys can also email me, whatever, if you guys want a real life testimonial. I'll tell you 100% facts of how to get it going. How both these guys helped me. So I'll be more than happy to talk to you guys for free and, explain to you how they helped me and how I was able to go from literally 0 sales to 10 sales in 6 weeks. It's not rocket science. This is the easiest, best business you could start as quick as possible and quit your job. I know Robert said a 9 to 5 isn't bad, but in my opinion, it sucks. And like you should want to do this. You can double, triple your income and work on your own terms. And I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to think you could have your own business up and running in 6 weeks. I don't know anything else like it. I really don't.
Amen.
And Rob's right. Don't focus on becoming this guy who's going to learn about the dispute process. That's what he told me. He's like, don't worry about it. And at first I was like, well, I kind of want to learn how it works on the back end. And I was watching all these videos. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to outsource it. And I'm just going to focus on sales. Because if I make 20 sales a week, it's better than making 5 and I handle everything on my own. I'd rather make 20 and someone else worry about it. Let me do what I do and let everyone else do what they're good at. So
meanwhile, you're making money and your clients are still getting results.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rob,
guys, for watching. For sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, guys. Thank you, guys, for your time. And Jared, bro. Thank you, Rob, bro. I'll see you soon, guys.
All right, bro.
All right. Take care.
Peace.
Right.
Adios.
Peace. All right.